What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video at hand, and today I want to talk about as to why you should buy a Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64 is one of my personal favorite game consoles of all time, and I have had a ton of great memories playing on the 64. It is a great console that, in my opinion, collectors really should make the effort of owning at some point or another, especially the collectors that like to also play their games as well. Of course, when I go into this video's topic, I'm going to be sharing a list of my own opinions and reasons as to why you should go out and buy a Nintendo 64. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video's topic right after the intro. Now, of course, when talking about the Nintendo 64, one of the main reasons that I have to talk about as to why you should buy a Nintendo 64 are the games. The Nintendo 64, in my opinion, has one of the best library of games, and with its 296 North American game library, there's not very many games on the console that I would consider bad. Now, truthfully, I haven't played any games like Superman 64, but of course, I have heard that they are pretty awful. But what I can say, all the games that I've owned and played on the Nintendo 64 are nothing but gems and just great masterpieces of work, and they just are extremely great quality titles. After all, the Nintendo 64 is home to Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Star Fox 64. It just has a great library of games. One of the arguments that I can easily say when it comes to the 64's library is, in my opinion, I feel like if you were to have a dartboard posted on a wall and you threw up the entire library of the Nintendo 64 on said dartboard, right? And if you were to just throw a dart at the dartboard, there's not very many times, and there's a very low chance that I would say that you're gonna hit a bad game. I think, in my opinion, even though the 296 game library is small compared to other mainline game consoles, I can say that for me, I feel like the 64's library is nothing but quality over quantity with its selection of games, which is one of the things that I have to say and have to strongly urge people when it comes to people that are either thinking about or just some other reason or another as to why they should buy a Nintendo 64. Now, of course, one of my favorite arguments when it comes to collecting for cartridge-based consoles are the durability of the games. Thankfully, cartridges are a lot more durable when it comes to long-term storage and keeping them safe, protected, all that good stuff. You don't have to worry about it getting scratches, it getting fingerprints. Yes, you might have to get the Q-tip with some rubbing alcohol to clean out the dust every now and then. But I have to say, cartridges are a lot more durable and they're just better to deal with, me personally, in my opinion, when it comes to discs. Of course, you don't have to worry about disc rot when it comes to cartridges. In case if you're wondering what exactly disc rot is, I have a video all about disc rot where I talk about all the problems, things to look out for, everything that you should know about disc rot that I will be linking somewhere for you guys to check out. But yes, cartridges are a lot more durable. If you happen to drop it off of a shelf, no problem. Of course, I don't recommend just like throwing it at a brick wall and seeing if it's like still intact and all of that. Of course, please use some common sense still. But of course, you don't have to worry about the same problems as you would with a disc with cartridges. They're not perfect, but I will say when it comes to long-term storage and of course durability, I do have to say that cartridges are a great plus when it comes to those factors. Now, when talking about the Nintendo 64, another reason that I have to bring up as to why you should consider collecting for the Nintendo 64 is, in my personal opinion, I feel like it's become more affordable for potential collectors. Now, It's not a cheap game console to collect for to the extent of Xbox 360 or PlayStation 2 or Wii, but at least to me, I feel like the Nintendo 64 has become more affordable within recent times. Of course, whatever you may consider affordable or expensive is very subjective, but what I can say, at least to me, when I have been shopping online and going places, when, just looking around at Nintendo 64 games, to me, I feel that a lot of games have dropped in price when it comes to just exactly how much they're worth. Now, of course, if you are collecting complete in box, not really the most affordable game console to collect for, but if you're collecting cart only, no problem. I feel like I said, it's become more affordable. Of course, when you are talking about collecting complete in box and its affordability and how expensive the games have become, I have a video where I talk about just that when it comes to problems when collecting for the Nintendo 64. That, of course, I'll be linking somewhere for you guys to check out. But what I can say is when looking online, as I mentioned, I feel like it has become more affordable. And since that happens to be the case, I would strongly recommend some collectors to check it out. Again, I haven't checked on price charting or anything of that nature. To me, I just feel like when it comes to certain games, such as Banjo-Kazooie or Super Mario 64, I do feel like those games weren't as expensive now as they were before in the past. I do consider them more affordable, but again, that's up to you, the viewer, for you to judge. But I will say that is something to take note of when it comes to possibly collecting or buying a Nintendo 64. Of course, when talking about reasons as to why you should buy a Nintendo 64, one of the things I want to talk about is that it is a great social game console. So what do I mean by it being a social game console? Well, in this day and age, when it comes to multiplayer, a lot of people will immediately think of online multiplayer with games such as Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Battlefield, among other titles among that as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a lot of online multiplayer, but I also do enjoy some local multiplayer as well. The type of multiplayer where you have like a bunch of friends or family over, you're all in the same room together, and you guys are just having a great time together. The Nintendo 64 offered a great experience when it came to local multiplayer and it being just a social console by where you have a bunch of friends and family over and you play games together such as Mario Kart 64, Mario Party, among other great titles as well. The Nintendo 64, in my opinion, has been responsible for a lot of great memories for a ton of people way back in the day. And of course, if you are someone that not only likes to collect, but also likes to play old school games as well, I have to say, if you want to have a great local multiplayer experience and just have a great social experience with people that come over and are able to appreciate retro games and everything of that nature, that is one of the reasons as to why I strongly recommend buying a Nintendo 64 when you have the chance to do so. Of course, when discussing the Nintendo 64, I have to talk about its overall experience. The Nintendo 64, as mentioned previously, has a great game library. It has durable games. It has a great social experience when it comes to having people over. But what I really think is really great about it is just everything put together plus more when you have a Nintendo 64. Of course, when you are playing games either through remakes, through Nintendo Switch Online, or the GameCube remakes of Ocarina of Time or whatever, or anything of that nature, right? Emulators or whatever. There's nothing more special, in my opinion, than having the console itself hooked up to a TV, feeling that click of when the cartridge goes into the console itself, holding the controller in your hand, and truly having a great time playing Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, Star Fox, F-Zero X, along with other great games on the console as well. And I think that it's just one of those things that you truly have to experience, having the overall experience of having the 64 all set up, where you've got buddies over, of course you got the games and everything of that nature, right? It's just one of those things where it's like, you've got to play it for yourself. You just kind of have to experience for it yourself for you to have a true understanding of what it's like to have a great experience when it comes to having the Nintendo 64, which is a huge reason as to why I strongly recommend collectors and retro game enthusiasts alike to pick up a 64, get some games for it, get a couple controllers, get some family, get some buddies over, right? Have yourself a good time, because I gotta say, the 64 is responsible for a lot of great times, a lot of great memories for a ton of people, and of course, I truly believe the more the merrier when it comes to having the 64 experience. Alright, and that will conclude my video as to why you should buy a Nintendo 64. What do you guys think of the video? Did you find it entertaining, informative, any of that good stuff? Feel free to comment in the comment section down below. I'd love to see what your guys' thoughts are. Give the video a like if you did enjoy. Helps boost it up into the YouTube algorithm so more viewers such as you can find videos just like this. But of course, please do consider subscribing, because I post a lot of content when it comes to game collecting tips, other video game related subjects. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, please do consider subscribing. But if you're going to subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell notification button so that way you will be notified when I upload a video just like this. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.